Welcome back guys, hope you all doing great, and today's in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to configure the Redux with your Expo app. Well, we all know that the Redux configurations is the most complicated stuff whenever we are building any kind of JavaScript application. Well, we need to understand that this Redux, like it's the most popular state management library for any kind of JavaScript applications like React.js or Next.js or React Native, whatever it is. Well, it's provides a predictable and centralized way to manage the states of an application so that it make it easier to understand or to debug or even to maintain. So what exactly happening is it's the Redux, it's creating a data layer to the top of our application, so we can push or pull our state at any point from anywhere inside the application, even at the last child component, so that I don't need to share the state from the top to bottom order. Well, that's the usage of the Redux. So in this tutorial, I'm going to explain each and every point that you need to understand when you're working with Redux. And I'm going to show you how to configure that Redux with your Expo app. So without wasting your time, let's jump into the video. Okay then, so I already created the Expo app and I installed the native event and I customized this design for this particular tutorial. So you guys don't worry about it. I dropped the GitHub link description in the description box. So please go ahead and then copy that link. So let me show you. So this is that starter template. You can download the starter template by clicking the link in the description below. Copy this link and open up your terminal. And please make sure that you already downloaded the Git in your machine. If you haven't downloaded it, so please go ahead and download it first. Once you downloaded it, and then type git clone and paste that link. So this will download the starter template so that you can follow with this tutorial with exact same design what I'm having right now. All right, so let me close it because I already downloaded it, and this app is up and running fine. All right, so my simulator is started, and you can see currently it's doing nothing. Well, we have to do everything. So let me create one more terminal over here. So I need to navigate to my app folder. So cd app. All right, so now I'm inside the app folder. So in this place, now what we need to do is we need to add two different packages. Well, let's go ahead and add the two different packages. So basically that packages is going to be yarn add Redux. And along with that, we need to add one more thing, that is the React Redux. These are the two packages that we need to download to work with the Redux with our Expo app. So Redux, React, Redux. So hit the enter. So it will download that necessary packages. So once it's downloaded, so what exactly we need to do is we need to create a store, and we need to create the actions, and we need to create the reducers. So basically whenever you're doing something, that action will get fired, and then for that particular action inside the reducer, I will do some set of coding. So what exactly I need to do on that particular action, and then that reducer will update that state and push it to our Redux store. So wherever that state is being used, that state will be automatically updated in all the components. So that's what we are going to do now. All right, so now we successfully added our Redux. So if you want to make sure, please go to the package.json, and there you can see the React Redux, and the Redux it's configured successfully. Okay, so let me close this. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to create a subfolder over here inside the app folder. I'm going to create a new folder called context. Inside this context folder, I'm going to create a new folder called actions. And inside the context folder, right click it and again create a new folder called reducers. All right, inside this actions folder, or inside this context folder, I'm going to create one more file that is called store.js. Okay, so we'll worry about the store later. So first what we need to do is we need to create the actions, then we need to move on to the reducers. So basically this is the counter example that we are using for you can find a basic example to work with the Redux. Okay, so here let's move into the actions, and then let me create a new file called counter actions. Let's keep the name as counteractions.js. all right, so basically what exactly we're going to do is we need two different actions over here, increment and decrement. So I'm going to create a function called export const increment. So this is going to be an arrow function, arrow function. So, and then we need to create one more function. That function is going to be decrement. All right, so now we have two different functions, one for increment and another one for decrement. So over here now what I need to do is so this all right, so here let's keep this type object. Let's create a type object. Type is going to be increment. Type is going to be basically we need to return this stuff. Whenever you're calling this function, it's need to return that. So the easiest way is to just wrap these things inside this normal brackets. So basically that means it's returning that particular object. So let's wrap it inside this brackets. All right, so here inside here I'm just going to say type colon, which is going to be increment, and then let me copy this and I'll paste it here, and that is going to be decrement. Let's save the changes, and now you can see that whenever you're calling this function, that is returning this type called increment. So either you can, if you're not using this brackets, normal brackets inside this, you are returning this object. If you're not using that, what you can do, all right, so if you want to return a statement, you can directly use the return keyword, or you can directly write it in this way. That's up to you. All right, so now this will work perfectly as it's supposed to be. Let me save the changes. All right, so now let me go to the reducers. So here I need to create a new file called counter reducer.js. Hit a enter. And well, now what we need to do is basically we need to create the initial state. So initially, what exactly it's going to, the state, what exact value that state is going to carry on. So basically at the initial point, the value is always going to be 0. So I'm just going to create a new variable called initial state. So initial state is going to be count. That's the state which we are creating. Count is the state name. So count is going to be 0. That's the initial state. And then we need to create a reducer. So const counter reducer is equals to, let's open the arrow function. All right, so here inside this arrow function we need to send two different parameters. One that is going to be the state, and that is going to take the initial state as a value, and another one is going to be the action. Basically these are the actions which is triggered from our counter actions. Then inside here I'm going to write a switch case. Switch, I need to send the action type, what kind of action type it's triggered. All right, so now if that action type is equals to this increment, so case increment, then what exactly I need to do? So whenever this action is being triggered, I need to return an object, and I need to spread all the current state, whatever that we do have. Let's return all the state, and along with that I'm just going to update the count state along. So state dot count plus 1. So whatever the value that state have, along with that I'm just going to update, I'm going to increment with 1. All right, so let's repeat the same stuff for decrement also. So I'm just going to copy this, and let's copy this case and let's paste it one more time, which is for our decrement. Copy this and paste it here, and in this case I'm just going to reduce it to 1. All right, and save the changes. At the end I'm just going to say default return state, return the state. All right, this by default it will returns the state, and at last you need to make sure that you are exporting this, otherwise it will never work. So export default counter reducer. Okay, spelling mistake, counter reducer. Save the changes. Now our reducer is ready. So these are the actions and this is the reducer. So now what I need to do is, in a real-time project you might have n number of states, so there might be n number of reducers too. So I can't keep on add different reducers inside our store. So what I need to do is basically I need to combine all the reducers as a single reducer, then I need to put it into a store. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file in the reducer folder called index.js. So inside this index.js, so basically what I need to do is I need to combine the reducers and I need to create my customized reducer by combining all the reducers whatever we created. So here, so import, you need to import it from the Redux. Basically we are importing from the Redux. What exactly that we need to import is that create store. We are trying to create a store and we need to import one more package. So let's see, const store. We are creating a store by using create store, not this one, create store, and inside this we need to supply our reducers, right? So we need to supply our reducer. So before supplying it, what we need to do is we need to combine this reducer, then we need to supply it to it. So let me show you how to combine it first. All right, so this is the part that we need to create a store. So what we need to do is basically right now we don't need this, so I just jumped one step ahead, so we don't need this right now. So let me import from Redux. So instead of come on, my PC is loading. I don't know why it's too much hanging right now, but it's taking so long. All right, Redux, and here we need to import this combine reducers. This is the package that we need to, this is the class that we need to import. Okay, so I'm going to create my own reducer. So my reducer is equals to combine reducer. Basically we are trying to combine it and we need to open an object, and here we need to supply all our reducers one after another. So basically the first reducer is going to be counter, and we are going to use the counter reducer which is coming from our counter reducer file. So that will be imported over here. So now our reducer is being created. Then what we need to do is we need to export it. So export default. By default we are exporting it in the name as my reducer. So I need to use this reducer inside the store when we are creating the store. All right, so let's go ahead and create that store right now. So let's go to our store.js file, open the store.js file, and inside the store.js file, so what we need to do, we need to create the store. So let's go here and import, and what we need to say, from Redux, and inside here we need to create the store. So I don't know why it's hanging right now, so let's create the store. Come on. So create the store. It's hanging a lot, don't know why. Okay, so import, and we need to import our reducers from our index.js. So from /reducers, so I'm going to import our my reducer file. So what we need to do is basically it's exported from here, right? So let's copy this, go here, and here const store is equals to create store. Come on, why it's hanging a lot? And then we need to supply our reducer over here, my reducer. So this will be imported from our reducer file. Import my reducer from the reducers. All right, so now the store is being created. Now all we need to do is to export the store, export default store. So save the changes. Now this store is being exported. Now all we need to do is we need to wrap entire app inside the store. So to do that, what we need to do is, so basically we need to create a provider, a data provider. So, and we need to wrap the complete app into that data provider. So let's go to our app.js, or where's the place? Okay, so this is the place our entire app it's been running right now. So what we need to do is, so at this point over here, I need to import our store. So let's go ahead and import our store. So import store, import store from our store. Then what we need to do, we need to import the, we need to get the provider from our Redux provider. So basically that is coming from import from React Redux. It's taking so long. I don't know why it's hanging right now. Come on. So let me copy and paste that line. It's hanging right now. I don't know why it's exactly hanging. Okay, so this is the one that we need to, from the React Redux, we need to get the provider. All right, so I need to wrap this completely inside that provider object. So provider, and inside this provider, we need to bring everything completely. All this view should be inside this provider. And then for this provider, I need to supply the store. And then store is just going to have our custom store, which we created and we are having over here. So save these changes. Now this app will refresh. If there is any error, so that will be displayed over here. So it's still refreshing. Come on. So it's refreshed successfully, and so far there is no mistakes. All right, so far there is no mistakes. Whatever we created, everything is created successfully. So far there is no mistakes. So now all what we need to do is, so we have to move to the part where the action is being triggered. Okay, so what exactly we need to do is, so when we are doing these kinds of actions and stuff and everything, so basically there are a lot of ways to dispatch your actions and everything. So I'm going to show you one of the easiest way. So first I need to get the state and the actions into this component as its own property. Okay, so that I'm going to map the state and I map the actions as the default property of this component. All right, so let's go ahead and do that stuff. So first what I'm going to do is, I'm going to change this complete view. I'm going to wrap this complete view into a separate component instead of keeping it everything inside an app. So what we can do is go to the app folder and create a new folder called components. And inside this components folder, I'm going to create a new file called counter.jsx. And here all I need to say RNFE, the React Native Functional Export component. So I'm going to use that. So save changes, and I'm going to copy this complete code from here. So let me go back to the app.js, copy it, and I'm going to get back to the counter. I'm going to paste it over here, paste it. Then save the changes, and this counter component needs to be rendered over here. So let me bring the counter component, and let's import that counter component over here. Counter. So save these changes. Now you will get the exact same output over here. Okay, so what we are, okay, so basically it's throwing an error because the touchable opacity and all those things we haven't imported over there. So let's go here and import this touchable opacity and everything. Control space, from the React Native import the touchable opacity and view text, everything is here. So far everything is good. So save these changes, and now you will get the exact same thing. Okay, so now it's going to the counter app, and here what we are going to do is, to this counter app I need to map the state and I need to map the actions. So what I need to do is, so basically over here, so I'm going to create two important things. So just this. So over here I'm creating a function called map state and map state to props. Basically, we are converting the state to our property. We are getting the state and we are getting the state called counter from where? From state.counter.count. Because if you go here to your reducer, we have a state called count and which is being exported in the way called counter. So we need to access this counter. Inside this counter, what state we have? We have the state called count. So I need to access this count. So that's what I'm exactly accessing over here. From the state, access the counter and access this count. Okay, we are accessing it. Now then what we need to do is we need to have the action dispatch methods. So we need to get the action dispatch methods and we need to convert those as a property. So basically I'm creating an object and that object is going to carry out the increment and the decrement, and these increment and decrement should be imported from our counter actions. So let's go ahead and import that first. So import from dot slash or double dot slash and go inside the context slash actions. So I need to get that increment. Okay, I'm sorry. From the actions, we need to get the counter actions. Come on, simple mistakes. Counter actions, and here I need to get the increment and I need to get the decrement. So now we have those two methods and we having this map dispatch to props and we have the map state over here. So now what I need to do is basically we are getting the state and we are getting the dispatch method and I'm going to send it as the exact property of this component. So I'm going to send that count and I'm going to send the increment and I'm going to send the decrement. So whenever the component is being mounted, so this state and this methods needs to be mapped with this component. So to map these two objects with this component, what you need to do is we need to import an object. We need to import a class from the Redux imports. We have a hook called connect, which helps you to map these two states and the actions to your component. So React Redux. So I need to get the connect method. So connect C is the small letter, and using this, so what I need to do is right before here I need to use that connect, and then I need to send the state and I need to send the dispatch method. So connect map state to props and map dispatch to props, and I need to connect these two things with this component. So wrap it inside a normal brackets, save the changes. Now these things will be used as a normal props of this component. So let's go ahead and do that stuff. Now what I'm going to do is basically we have this two different buttons. So when I click plus, what I need to do, I need to increment the count, and instead of displaying the dummy record over here, I need to bring that count. So let me bring the count. So that's the state value, initial state value. What is the state value that we do have? 0. So the initial state value is displaying still. That means our Redux is working perfectly. At this point, if you are getting any error, so please check the console and drop that comment, drop it in the comment section. I will help you out. Okay. So here I need to add on click event or on press. Okay. So we need to get the on press event. Whenever I'm pressing it, I need to call this increment method, and whenever I'm pressing this one on press, I need to call the decrement method. All right, so now let's see. So now if I click this, state will be updated, and if I click this, state will be reduced to 1, just like that. So now our Redux store, it's been successfully created, and the actions and everything is properly mapped as its own property. So I don't have to use the dispatch hook to dispatch each and every actions whenever I'm creating that. So that is a tedious process. The easiest and the best way to create it is mapping this state and the action methods to our component. This is the best approach to work with the Redux. So I hope you enjoyed this session, and if you're having any questions in this tutorial, please drop that questions and inside the comment section. I will help you out. and stay tuned. I'm coming up with a different project in the next video.